7 bad habits husbands do that drive wives crazy. Sometimes, what damages a marriage isn't one huge betrayal or a dramatic fight, it's the quiet, everyday habits that sneak into our lives without us even noticing. A husband might think, "I'm not doing anything wrong." Yet his wife feels increasingly exhausted, lonely, or invisible. And the truth is, most of the time it's not because he doesn't love her. It's because love was never meant to survive on feelings alone. It needs care, attention, and a willingness to notice the small things. Today, I want to walk with you through 7 habits that husbands often fall into. Habits that slowly drive wives crazy. But that can absolutely be changed. And the good news is, when these habits shift, the whole atmosphere of the marriage shifts too. Let's begin with the first one. A habit that so many women silently struggle with. Habit number 1. Avoiding household chores. Picture this. It's 7:30 in the evening. Both husband and wife have just come home from a long day at work. Dinner is cooked. The dishes pile up. Laundry is waiting. The kids need homework help. And somehow, without even speaking, the wife ends up carrying the bulk of it. For many women, managing the home feels like a second job, one that no one notices but everyone depends on. And while some husbands might think, "She's just better at it," or "I work hard all day, so I need to rest," what a wife actually feels is something deeper. She feels taken for granted, like her effort is invisible, and like her partner doesn't see the weight she carries. Over time, this can turn love into resentment. I remember a couple I worked with in Chicago. The wife, Emily, once said to her husband in session, "I don't mind cooking. I don't even mind folding laundry. But what breaks me is when you sit on the couch scrolling your phone while I'm drowning in chores. It makes me feel like I don't matter." Her husband, Daniel, wasn't a bad man. He loved her, provided for the family, and thought he was doing enough. But in that moment, he realized he had been blind to the way his inaction spoke louder than his love. Avoiding household chores isn't just about the physical work. It's about the message it sends. Your time is less valuable than mine. Your exhaustion matters less. And when a wife hears that message day after day, even if unspoken, it chips away at her joy. The good news is that change doesn't require grand gestures. It begins with small acts of teamwork. One practical step is to view chores as an opportunity for connection instead of punishment. Washing dishes side by side, folding clothes together, or tidying up the living room while sharing about your day can turn a burden into bonding time. Another step is to ask, "What can I take off your plate tonight?" This simple question communicates respect and partnership. And even if you don't do the task perfectly, the effort itself says, "I see you, and I'm with you." In many households across Europe and America, modern couples both contribute financially. But emotional fairness often lags behind. A husband who truly values his wife doesn't measure his worth only by his paycheck. He measures it by how much lighter he makes her load, how much safer she feels in his presence, and how much joy he brings into the ordinary evenings. So if you're a husband listening to this, I encourage you to pause tonight. Notice the laundry basket, notice the sink, notice the weary look on your wife's face, and instead of sitting back, step in, pick up a dish, fold a shirt, sweep the floor. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. Because every time you share the work, you also share the love. And that, more than anything, is what keeps a marriage alive. Habit number 2. Not truly listening, the silent marriage killer. One of the most painful things a wife can experience in marriage is not being heard. And I don't just mean hearing the words she speaks, I mean listening with the heart. Too often, husbands fall into the habit of nodding along while their mind is somewhere else. Checking emails on the phone, watching the game, or already preparing their reply. The wife shares about her day, her worries, or her dreams, And instead of feeling understood, she feels dismissed. Silence may fill the room. But it is the wrong kind of silence, it is the silence of disconnection. I once counseled a woman named Laura who told me, "I'd rather my husband argue with me than just stare at his phone when I'm talking. At least then I'd know he's engaged." That's how deep the need for genuine listening goes. Wives don't want perfect solutions every time, what they long for is the assurance that their voice matters. The truth is, when a husband doesn't truly listen, it communicates, "Your inner world doesn't interest me." And that, over time, creates loneliness within marriage even while sharing the same home. But listening is a skill that can be learned. And it doesn't require years of therapy to start. It begins with small, intentional habits. Putting down the phone when she speaks, maintaining eye contact, and reflecting back what she says with phrases like, "So you're feeling stressed because?" These small responses tell her, "I hear you, and I care." Listening also means resisting the urge to fix everything immediately. Many husbands rush to offer solutions, thinking that's helpful, but often, the wife just wants empathy first. A simple, "That must have been tough for you," is more healing than 10 suggestions about how she should handle it. When a husband learns to listen without judgment, he creates a safe space where his wife feels emotionally held. And that safety is what keeps intimacy alive. So husbands, ask yourself, when was the last time you truly listened, not just to her words, but to the emotions underneath? Did you hear the sadness in her voice? Did you notice the excitement in her story? Did you stop to affirm what she was feeling? Because in the end, listening is not about the ears, it's about the heart. And when a wife feels heard, she also feels loved. Habit number 3. Putting work or hobbies first, marriage on the back burner. Work is important. Hobbies are healthy. Friendships matter. But when a husband consistently places all of these above his marriage, the message to his wife becomes painfully clear: "You are not my priority." And nothing eats away at a woman's heart more than feeling like she's competing for her husband's attention with his office, his golf clubs, or his video games. I recall speaking with a woman in London named Claire. Her husband was a good man, ambitious at work, and dedicated to his career. But night after night, he came home late, ate dinner in silence, and opened his laptop until midnight. Claire told me, "I don't need expensive vacations or constant romance. I just want one evening a week where he looks at me the way he looks at his screen." That longing for attention is not shallow, it is the deep human need for connection. The danger here is subtle. A husband might believe he's working hard for the family, providing security and a better future. And yes, providing is noble, but when presence disappears in the present moment, love begins to starve. A paycheck can't replace a hug. A promotion can't replace laughter on the couch. A hobby can't replace the intimacy of shared time. The solution is not to abandon work or hobbies altogether, but to create intentional boundaries. Husbands can practice what I call non-negotiable couple time. That might mean every Friday evening is date night. No exceptions. Or maybe it's setting the phone aside for the first hour after coming home. Even something as simple as cooking a meal together once a week can reestablish the sense that marriage is not on the back burner. When a wife sees her husband choose her over the endless demands of work or the pull of hobbies, she feels valued, cherished, and secure. And ironically, this prioritization doesn't just strengthen the relationship, it also makes the man stronger in his work and hobbies. Because he's not running on emotional emptiness at home. So ask yourself, what place does your marriage hold in your schedule? Is it first, or is it an afterthought? Remember, success outside means little if the person waiting for you inside feels forgotten. Make your marriage the priority, and watch how everything else falls into place. Habit number 4. Poor communication during conflict. Shutting down or exploding. Conflict is inevitable in any marriage. Two people living closely together will always have disagreements. The problem isn't conflict itself, the problem is how conflict is handled. And too often, husbands fall into one of two extremes, shutting down completely or exploding in anger. Both are equally damaging. When a husband shuts down, what psychologists call stonewalling, he sends a message to his wife that says, "Your concerns aren't worth my time." Imagine trying to speak your heart only to be met with a cold wall of silence. For many wives, that silence is more painful than words. On the other hand, when a husband explodes, raising his voice, slamming doors, throwing harsh words, the wife feels unsafe, attacked, and emotionally abandoned. Neither silence nor shouting leads to healing. A couple from New York once shared with me their cycle. Whenever they argued, the husband would retreat into the bedroom, turn on the TV, and refuse to speak. The wife, desperate to resolve things, would knock on the door, only to be ignored. She said, "It's like I don't exist. I'd rather he yell than just disappear behind that wall." This story is not unusual. Across cultures, many marriages suffer because husbands have never been taught how to fight fair. The way forward is learning to communicate even in the heat of conflict. One practical tool is what I call the pause button. When emotions run too high, both partners agree to take a short break, 15 or 20 minutes, to breathe, pray, or calm down. But the key is to always come back. The pause is not an escape, it's a strategy to reset and then re-engage with respect. Another practice is using I statements instead of you attacks. For example, instead of saying, "You never listen to me," a husband could say, "I feel hurt when I don't feel heard." This shifts the tone from blame to vulnerability, opening the door to connection rather than defensiveness. And perhaps most importantly, husbands must remember that conflict is not about winning or losing, it's about understanding. The goal is not to prove a point but to protect the bond. When a wife sees her husband choose patience over shouting, engagement over silence, she learns that even in conflict, she is safe, and that safety is the foundation of lasting love. So, husbands, the next time tension rises, resist the instinct to either explode or withdraw. Instead, breathe, pause, and choose words that build rather than break. Because the way you fight can either erode your marriage or deepen your trust. Habit number 5. Forgetting emotional connection, not just physical. A marriage is more than bills, chores, and physical intimacy, it is the constant weaving of emotional connection. Yet one of the most common complaints I hear from wives is that their husbands forget this truth. They may show up physically in the home, even share a bed, but emotionally they feel distant. When a wife says, "I feel like we're just roommates," what she means is that the marriage has lost its heart. Emotional connection is built through little gestures. A gentle touch on the shoulder while passing in the kitchen. A random text during the day that says, "Thinking of you," or a hug that lingers a second longer than usual. These are not grand acts of romance, but they carry profound weight. Sadly, many husbands underestimate their power. They think that providing financially or being physically present is enough. But the truth is, a woman's heart thrives on signs that she is cherished not only as a partner but as a beloved companion. I remember speaking with a woman in Toronto who said, "When he surprises me with flowers, it's nice, but what I really crave is for him to sit with me at night, put his arm around me, and just ask how my day truly was." That's emotional intimacy, being known and seen in the ordinary moments. And when it disappears, resentment quietly replaces love. Husbands can rebuild this connection by being intentional. Ask yourself, when was the last time you initiated affection without expecting anything in return? When was the last time you asked your wife how she's feeling and listened without rushing? When was the last time you planned a small surprise? Not for a special occasion, but simply because she matters? These small acts keep the emotional bridge strong. Marriage does not survive on the physical alone. Without emotional intimacy, the relationship begins to wither. But when husbands nurture both the physical and the emotional, they remind their wives, "You are not just here to share life with me, you are my partner in heart, mind, and soul." Habit number 6. You're overreacting. Few words cut deeper in marriage than "you're overreacting." When a husband dismisses his wife's feelings, even unintentionally, it communicates that her emotions are invalid or unworthy of attention. Over time, this destroys trust and silences vulnerability. A woman I counseled in Berlin once shared, "When I tell my husband I'm upset about something, he laughs and says, 'It's not a big deal.' But to me, it is a big deal. And when he laughs, I feel like a fool for even speaking." That kind of dismissal doesn't just end the conversation, it teaches her to stop bringing her heart to him altogether. The truth is, feelings don't have to be logical to be real. You don't have to agree with your wife's emotions to validate them. When she says she feels hurt, anxious, or disrespected, the most healing response isn't debate, it's empathy. Saying, "I can see why you feel that way," or "I didn't realize that affected you so deeply," opens the door to closeness. Dismissing, on the other hand, slams it shut. Husbands, your wife doesn't want you to fix every storm in her heart. She wants to know that when the storm rises, she's not standing in it alone. Validation is not about proving who's right, it's about saying, "Your feelings matter to me because you matter to me." That simple shift can transform conflict into connection. If you catch yourself about to say, "You're overreacting," pause. Replace it with, "Help me understand what you're feeling." In that moment, you honor her inner world, and she will feel safe to keep sharing it with you. And when a woman feels safe to bring her heart into the relationship, the marriage deepens in ways that last a lifetime. Habit number 7. Taking her for granted, the missing of compliments and thanks. It's amazing how powerful two simple words can be, "Thank you." Yet in so many marriages, gratitude fades into silence. A wife cooks dinner, keeps the home organized, supports her husband through challenges, and too often, it goes unnoticed. Over time, she begins to feel invisible, like her love is assumed rather than appreciated. One woman in Paris told me, "I don't need diamonds or flowers. I just want him to look me in the eyes and say, 'I see what you do, and I'm grateful.'" That's not luxury, it's basic nourishment for the heart. Without it, even the strongest woman eventually grows weary. Taking a wife for granted doesn't always come from malice. Many husbands simply believe their wives already know they're appreciated. But love unspoken eventually feels like love unfelt. Gratitude must be expressed, not assumed. Compliments and thanks are the water that keeps the garden of marriage alive. So husbands, make it a daily practice. Thank her for the meal. Even if it's simple, compliment her smile, her strength, or the way she parents. Write a sticky note that says, "I love you," and leave it on the bathroom mirror. These gestures don't cost money, but they pay dividends of joy. When a wife feels seen and appreciated, her heart softens. She gives more freely, she loves more openly, and she trusts more deeply. But when she feels invisible, she withdraws. Gratitude is the difference between a marriage that survives and one that thrives. Conclusion. As we've walked through these 7 habits, you may have recognized yourself or your partner. Maybe you saw how avoiding chores, failing to listen, or putting work first has quietly eroded the closeness in your home. Maybe you realized that dismissing feelings or forgetting to show gratitude has caused wounds you never intended. The point of this reflection is not to assign blame but to awaken hope. Because every habit can be changed. Every small action can be rewritten into something new. Marriage doesn't fall apart overnight. It crumbles slowly, in the little things left undone. But in the same way, it can be rebuilt slowly, Through little acts of love, patience, and intentional care. Husbands, your wife doesn't need perfection. She needs your presence, your effort, and your willingness to grow. And wives, your encouragement and openness can create the safe space for change to happen. So tonight, instead of sitting back, take one step. Wash the dishes, put down the phone, ask her how she's really doing. Say thank you, hold her hand. These are small habits, but they carry the weight of love. Because in the end, marriages don't thrive on grand gestures, they thrive on the daily choice to see each other, to value each other, and to love each other well. And maybe, just maybe, your spouse will look at you with the same spark they had on day one, not because of something extraordinary, but because you chose to love them in the ordinary. If you found this video meaningful, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. If you're facing unresolved challenges in your own marriage, we invite you to share your story in the comments below. We read every message, and we hope our words of encouragement will give you the strength to keep going. Even on the hardest days, we're here with you, and we look forward to seeing you again in the next episode.